What fact about the universe is completely mind-blowing? Someday we may be able to travel so far away that by the time we get there, humanity is already there. I forget the exact theory, but essentially imagine we try to colonize a planet 1000 light years away. Imagine the trip is going to take 1000 years, just for sake of easy math. 300 years into the trip we invent a mode of transportation twice as fast, and send another ship. Second ship arrives in 500 years, and the first ship is still 200 years from reaching their destination. By the time ship A gets there, ship B, and humanity, has already been there, colonizing the planet for 200 years. The theory, as far as I remember it, is that technology progresses too fast for us to not invent a much faster form of transportation in 300 years. Edit. If anyone knows the name of this theory, I'd like to read into it again. THNX second edit. Many have pointed out ship B would be traveling twice the speed of light, which is of course impossible. I wrote just for sake of easy math. Obviously it would take much longer to reach the planet than 1000 years. Final edit. Some have said this is the weight calculation IDK. I haven't looked into it anymore. IPS. IPSQMs OIPS W3WKN FJNKLWHCNL 70 TVEDXGQ KDDP1 XWO6 Ukawaki weight calculation. HTML. Your cells are doing things for you that you don't even know. It's like a universe with trillions of tiny cities inside your body that you are unaware of, and they do it all and engage in those complex systems so you can do mundane things like raise your index finger and pick your nose. Say you're watching something in nature, like waves on a beach. Somewhere in the universe on some planet with some liquid, there is likely similar waves on some rocks or a shore that no one has ever seen, but it's still there. That's happening right now, as you read this. A star can be billions of miles away and send light millions of years toward your eyes with nothing getting in its way. However, if I put my hand over your eyes, I have stopped that light's millions years journey less than an inch from you seeing it. One I heard a while back was, enough hydrogen, left alone for a long time, will eventually begin to think about itself. If we were to presume that life evolved around every single one of the hundreds of billions of stars in the sky, and if we were to further presume that every single one of those civilizations had evolved technologically to a point that they could travel into space and search for life in other solar systems, and that they were scanning for life as we are, by searching the skies for non-visible light spectrums for IR signatures. Our strongest radio waves to leave the solar system have only traveled about 100 light years or so. Even if all those civilizations were actively looking for us, and looking right at us, our energy signature, traveling away from us at speed of light, has only passed the first 150 or so closest stars at this stage. To the other hundreds of billions of worlds out there, the light they see from our sun is millions of years old, just only passing them now. The light from each star you see took a long time to get here. Everyone knows that. You can interpret that to mean that you're looking into the past. What you see is actually the state of that star many years ago. But take it a step farther. You can see a lot of stars at the same time, and they're all different distances away, meaning that you're looking 5 years, 20 years, 100 years, 2000 years, and a million years into the past all at the same time. You're not just looking into the past, you're looking through time. You're literally seeing in 4 dimensions. It takes 24 hours for Earth to rotate on its axis to make a day, and 365 days to orbit around the sun for a year. It takes around 230 million years for our solar system to complete a single orbit around the Milky Way. The last time it was in its current position, the earliest dinosaurs had just appeared, and flowering plants wouldn't evolve for another 100 million years. Post. Whoa, I did not expect for this to get so many upvotes. Thank you everybody, and keep exploring science. Hold up your hands and clap them together. Wait 1 second, then do it again. If you could plot the distance between the first clap and the second clap, it would be more than 800 kilometers. This is because the Earth is moving around the sun is moving around the center of the galaxy is moving through the Virgo supercluster, and the Virgo supercluster is barreling through the universe. When you add up all the velocities and compare the result to the cosmic microwave background, which is the closest thing we have to a universal frame of reference, it comes out to about 800 kilometers per second. Sit still for an hour, and you'll travel farther than you'll ever walk in your life. TL. Dr. Zoom. We barely know what's in the ocean, let alone the universe. Poincare recurrence. Any self-contained finite system will repeat itself given enough time. That means that, if the universe or any part of it that contains me is self-contained and finite, that there will be infinite reincarnations of me typing this post. To me, it's that a small amount of the static on an analog television is background radiation from the Big Bang. Even now that the analog signal has been switched off in many countries, there it is. You can plug in a TV and attach it to an aerial, and some small percentage of what you will see is just that. There might be nothing broadcasting on these frequencies anymore, but one thing that is broadcasting is the birth of the universe. If we measure how much energy a cubic meter of empty space has, it's a very small value, something like 10 carat minus 9 joules per cubic meter. However, in theory, a cubic meter should have 10 carat 113 joules of energy, 122 orders of magnitude higher than measured, and 53 orders of magnitude higher than the estimated total mass energy of the observable universe. We do not know what causes this discrepancy. It is one of the greatest unsolved problems in physics, and it's called the cosmological constant problem. Wikipedia. Or Wiki cosmological constant problem. That there is an unobservable universe that nobody will ever know anything about, no matter how far technology comes. In essence, when we look really far away in the universe, we are looking back in time, because that's how long it took the light to reach us. The universe is thought to be about 14 billion years old. So, anything that lies beyond 14 billion light years away will never be observed, because we can't look back to a time before the universe existed. Edit. A few more knowledgeable users pointed out some inaccuracies in this post. The observable universe is actually about 45 billion light years in radius, due to objects in space being closer to us at the time they first emitted light. It appears as though there is a future visibility limit set at about 62 billion light years, meaning that anything beyond that distance will never come into the universe observable from Earth. However, if we can one day travel vast distances through space, we could observe from that further away point, and thereby see much further into the universe. In about 4 to 5 billion years, this solar system won't exist any longer. Side, but related, fact, just like the previous ones. We are a second or third generation system due to the presence of heavy metals, like iron, in the solar system and our own bodies. Bonus fact, iron comes from dying stars. We literally are made of stardust, since iron is in our blood. Okay, I don't know how to post this properly, because I'm on mobile, but this is from AskReddit a couple months ago. I loved it so much I had to save it. The entire universe outside our galaxy could have completely disappeared over 20,000 years ago, and we still wouldn't know it yet. Our view of the universe is actually what it looked like anywhere from thousands to billions of years ago, with no way to see what it actually looks like right now. Imagine if you looked out your front window and saw your yard as it was 6 months ago, neighbor's house across the street a year ago, and houses a block or two away as they were several years ago. Also off in the distance you see the glaciers from the last ice age. That's what it's like looking out at the universe. The fact that the chances of us actually being us is so low that none of us should be alive. Huffington Post. Comderelli bin as a probability being born 877,853. HTML. Of all of the possible outcomes in the universe from the moment that the universe began, every little outcome led to me. None of my direct ancestors died before conceiving children out of every sperm cell fertilizing every egg. The fact my parents met. The fact that they had sex at the exact moment they did, leading to my father's sperm fertilizing my mother's egg, resulting in me being born. Mathematically speaking, my existence should be next to impossible. But I'm here. The universe is a wonderful place. We shouldn't be here, so be thankful that you are. Oh, another one is that we have no idea why humans or mammals sleep. It consumes half of our lives, but we have no idea why we need it. All we know is that it heals our brain. The fact that the universe is expanding, but what is it expanding into? Well, I'll go with an easier one that will be mind-blowing for most. Our current asteroid detection is seriously inadequate. There's a very good probability that we won't notice a planet killer before it's nearly too late. At that point, we have only two legitimate and untested options: an impact to push the asteroid off course, and nuclear weapons. If those don't work, well, it's the way of the dinosaurs with us. There are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on the world's beaches. More stars in the universe than seconds of time that have passed since Earth formed. More stars than words and sounds ever uttered by all humans who have ever lived. Consider the possibility that a universe, not at all unlike our own, exists parallel to ours. Somewhere out in the vastness of space, there is a tiny planet. This much is true in both universes. On this planet, there is a beach, and on that beach, there is a small stone. Once again, both universes are alike in this regard. Beneath that stone, however, there are several million grains of sand, and while they all are in precisely the same location in each universe, one of them, a tiny speck of particularly clear quartz, hewn from a larger hole millions of years before, has a single atom that is positioned a fraction of a femtometer differently than its twin in the mirror dimension. You may think that such an insignificant difference would label these two universes as being functionally identical, and you would be right. In fact, they are so similar that the multiverse has long since combined them into one reality. That single atom in that tiny speck of sand on that lonesome beach on a distant planet merely occupies two spaces at once, seeming to an outside observer to vibrate back and forth at a predictable rate. That every atom in existence seems to do the same is probably a coincidence. TL. Doctor, the universe is a vibrator. In order to reach absolute zero, one would need infinite energy. Though not impossible, so long as we are correct and the universe is infinite, you can have smaller infinities, and thus, an object can occur with infinite energy, or even infinite mass, or space. There's nothing to my knowledge of 4 years studying physics that says we can't have infinite space inside a cube small, or what have you. Though totally against our nature to imagine these things. Maths. It's crazy how 10 different characters and an array of different symbols meaning other things is still evolving. Maths was invented thousands of years ago, but it's still massively relevant today. Everything we've ever known was invented or discovered thanks to maths. Space is big. You just won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. I mean, you may think it's a long way down the road to the chemists, but that's just peanuts to space. Douglas Adams HHGTTG. Not a fact but a theory. What if each galaxy is like a cell or a bacteria and is alive? But since it is, so big time goes slower for us, and we are just waiting to be eaten by a bigger entity aka a galaxy that is at course with the Milky Way. Death. It happens to everything. Literally everything. Even the sun. The fact we don't have a single tangible piece of evidence to prove something happens after we die, but the vast majority of the population believes something happens. Sorry, I've been drinking. Hail Satan. That most light doesn't really exist. I'm talking about the majority of the photons emitted from suns. The dual slit experiment Wikipedia, or Wiki double slit experiment, shows us that photons, electrons, and molecules, that is, everything, when not interacting with anything else, only exist in a statistical sort of way, as a probability wave of wherever they could be. And we can see this effect through interference patterns, because waves can cancel themselves out. If you shoot a single isolated electron out, and there's two paths it could go through, it goes through both, and interferes with itself. But the moment you interact with it at all to figure out which path it really went through, poof, the interference pattern goes away. You've collapsed the wave of whatever it is, chooses where to be out of all the possible places it could be. Copenhagen interpretation, the most popular, and if you look up into the night sky, you'll notice that it's mostly dark. So most of the photons emitted by a sun never hit anything. They simply go out into the inky black, in every direction, as a statistical quantum wave that never gets resolved. Oh, and they're frozen in time. Time dilation Wikipedia, or wiki time dilation, happens if you go fast enough. Meters over seconds, right? You stop adding meters and start taking away seconds to get to your destination faster. And being massless means photons can travel at the speed of light, which means they experience zero time elapsing between the time they are made and the time they impact. So your typical photon in this universe exists as nothing more than a bit of cosmic accounting, having no position, and experiencing no time elapse. That's about as close to non-existence as possible. Even fairy tales and stray thoughts are patterns of chemicals in your head. You and a group of people took off on a huge rocket towards the nearest star, Proxima Centauri, traveling at 56,000 km/h. After you and 100 generations of your people have passed away. 3,000 years. The view outside the window has hardly changed. 580 generations after that, and you're only a quarter of the way there. Proxima Centauri is 4.2 light years from Earth. The Milky Way is 100,000 light years across.